Good afternoon, all. My name is Aswiin Gopal. So I am here to give you a small introduction about how dams can be classified and how does it affect our life. As you all know, a dam is a barrier which is built across a river or a stream to hold water. The ancient Egyptian and Romans have been the first humans to build the dams. During the Industrial Revolution, engineers began to build bigger dams that could run water, which had helped them to power their big machinery of their factory and mines. Man-made dams created an artificial lake known as reservoir. It is used to store water for farming, industry, boating, fishing, etc. However, modern dams are not fully made for this purpose. It has been created for generating electricity. In Kerala, about 80% of the electricity comes from hydroelectric project. Now I will discuss about the classification of dams. Dams are classified mainly according to the basis of material of construction and the basis of the flow of water over its top. So, it is the classification of dams based on the material of construction. It is mainly classified into earth-filled dams, rock-filled dams, concrete dams, masonry dams, steel dams and timber dams. Firstly, I will discuss about the earth-filled dams. The major example of a earth-filled dam is Banasura Sagar Dam. It is located on Wayanad, which is built across the river Kabani and is constructed in 1979. It is the oldest dam which is made up of soil. It is not 100% impervious because it is made up of soil, so there is a chance of leakage. So the major example of the earth-filled dam is Banasura Sagar Dam. Next we will discuss about the rock-filled dam. Tehri Dam is an example of rock-filled dam. Tehri Dam is the tallest dam in India and it is built on 1978 and is located in Uttarakhand and it is built across the river Bhagirathi. It is mainly comprised of rocks, but it is not only made of rocks but some impervious layers has also been laid because rocks cannot hold water by itself. So there are some impervious layers. So next we will discuss about concrete dams. Bakra Dam is an example of concrete dams. It is built on 1963 across the river Satluj in Himachal Pradesh. The dam for Gobind Sagar Reservoir, they are mainly built upon cement concrete. Next we come up to masonry dams. The Nagarjuna Sagar Dam is an example of masonry dams. It is built on 1967. It is built across Krishna river at Nagarjuna Sagar. They are made up of stone masonry in cement mortars. Next we will come up to steel dams. Mandira Dam is an example of steel dams. It is mainly made up of steel. They are not used that much. It is only used for storing water and for small purposes. Then about timber dams. Timber dams means it is mainly made up of timber and it is used for storing water and for another temporary use only. Next, we will discuss about the classification of dams based on the flow of water over its top. It's mainly classified into overflow dams and non-overflow dams. In overflow dams, the water may flow over the top when the water becomes excess of its limit. Sardar Sarovar Dam is an example of overflow dam. It is located in Narmada district in Gujarat, was built on 2070 across the river Narmada. Spillway and weirs are the example of overflow dams. Next, non-overflow dams. Water is never allowed to flow over its top. The top of the dam is kept at a higher position than the high flood level. Next, we will discuss how does dam affect the life of people. It affects the terrestrial ecosystem and biodiversity. The construction of a storage dam and subsequent induction of the reserve area effectively kills the terrestrial plant and forest. As many species prefer valley bottom, large-scale impound may eliminate unique wildlife habitat and affect the population of the endangered species. Effort to mitigate the impact of fauna have met the little success. An alternative to mitigation is a compensatory project approach. For example, in India, there is a legal requirement that forests flooded by reservoir must be replanted elsewhere. However, it is found that only half of the requirement forest has been typically been planted, and even this is poorly managed. Next, the effect of greenhouse gas emission. The emission of greenhouse gases from the reservoir due to the rotation of vegetation and carbon inflows from the catchment is a recently identified ecosystem impact. A first estimate suggests that gross emission from the reservoir may account from 1% to 28% of the global warming potential of the GHG emission. This challenges conventional wisdom that hydropower produces only positive atmosphere effects such as reduction in the emission of carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide, sulfide oxide, particularly when compared with the power generation sources that burn fossil fuels. This also implies that all reservoirs, not only hydropower reservoirs, emit GHGs. Consequently, reservoirs and catchment characteristics must be investigated to find out likely level of GHG emission. Next, downstream aquatic biodiversity. Storage dams are intended to alter the natural distribution and timing of the stream flow. They compromise the dynamic aspects of river that are fundamental to maintain the characteristics of an aquatic ecosystem. Natural river and their habitat and species are function of the flow. The quantity and characteristics of a sediment in motion through the channel, the composition of the material that make up the bed and bank of the channel. The defining river discharge include both high and low flow element. Impact of changing in flow causes the key, which will the key driving variable for the downstream aquatic ecosystem. Flood timing, duration, and frequency are all critical for the survival of communities of plant and animals living downstream. Small food event may act as biological trigger for fish and invertebrate migration. Major event create maintaining the habitat by source for transporting sediments. The natural variable of most river systems sustain complex biological communities that may be different from those adapted to the stable flow and conditions of a regular river. The impact of trapping sediment and nutrients behind a dam transport the river downstream of the dam has impact on channel. Floodplain and coastal deltas morphological causes the loss of aquatic habitat for fish and other species. So this is all about my topic. Thank you.